Excellent. Mavis, we're rolling. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Thank you for seeing me.
A pleasure.
Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to us, and it means a lot to the archive. And so, we're at the home of Mavis Manus.
Manus. M-A-N. M-A-N-U-S.
In Beverly Hills, California, Los Angeles, 14th of October, 2018. Mavis, please tell me where and when you were born and what kind of home you were brought up in.
Okay, I was born in Glasgow, Scotland, 25th of May, 1929. What kind of home? Jewish, of course. My grandmother lived with us. She was somewhat religious, a businesswoman.
A businesswoman, really?
Yes, unusual in Glasgow. My mother, not religious really. My father, although he called himself a communist, yet he was steeped in Judaism, and in fact gave some talks to local people about what a Jew was and what about Judaism. So it was that kind of household, very musical, especially. We read.
Very musical?
Listening to music. We didn't play. An aunt played, but not really, you know.
You said that, what's your mother's maiden name?
Gordon. Gordon.
Are both of your parents born in Scotland?
No. My father was English from Manchester. My mother, I'm not sure if she was born in Scotland or was four. When I take up the story or the history, she's four. Her first story is of taking her mother to the local movies and in the afternoon and translating into Yiddish for her mother what was going on the screen.
So your mother spoke Yiddish?
Oh yes, she spoke Yiddish to her mother. That's
right. Who was from the Ukraine or somewhere?
Lithuanian border.
Lithuanian border,
yeah. And my mother was saying that at that time there was just a whole bunch of little children with their parents translating into Yiddish. There was a sort of hum of Yiddish over the movie house. That was sweet.
And your father?
My father.
What's his family name?
Well, it was Ross. That's Rosenberg was.
Rosenberg, and they changed it to Ross.
They changed it to Ross. I mean, I grew up.
And his family was from where?
Also Russia.
Russia.
That part, yes.
So your parents are basically first generation born in England.
That's right.
And you're second.
That's right.
Now tell me, you said that your father was a communist.
Yes.
What does that mean? What?
Well, he talked a lot to his friends and they discussed politics and how wonderful Russia was. And of course, the big blow came. That was, I remember his distraught face when he heard when Russia sided with the Germans.
Yeah,
yes.
In 1939, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if he ever quite recovered from that. His spirit did not recover from that.
And your father's first name? Joseph. Now, do you have any siblings in your family?
A sister.
Is she older or younger?
Younger.
She's younger than
you? Very little, about a year and a half. A beloved sister.
And what was your father's profession?
He was a tailor. Classic. Many Jews were. Yeah.
And your mother was a housewife, or she?
Yeah, she didn't work.
And her name?
Gordon, Tina Gordon.
Tina
Gordon. Yeah.
And so the house that you grew up in, is it, you don't keep kosher?
Yes, we did, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, no bacon, I mean, I think at one time we did bury the dishes before
in the ground?
Yes. But I think that we only did that about once or twice. That was
just to get everything.
Yeah, everything became more anglicized.
And what is it like? What's the Jewish life like in Glasgow when you're growing up there?
It's difficult to say. I mean, we're very much enclosed in with Jews. Our friends were Jews. I happened to have a friend opposite who was not Jewish. But that was sort of unusual. My parents, I don't think, had any real friends who were non-Jew. So it was a closed little cabal.
It was a little ghetto?
Not really a ghetto. Yeah. No, more of a spiritual ghetto, perhaps. I mean, we're all spread out. There was some on our part. We had the Jewish Echo. That was a Glasgow paper, which kept us.
Was it left or right, or was it non-political?
You know, I have no idea.
Okay.
That I don't know. Isn't that interesting? I never thought to ask about that.
So when war breaks out, you're 10 years old. World War II.
A little long, about 9, I think. 9, I think.
Well, September 39.
Yeah.
And you're born in August.
29. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so it must have
10,
been. That's right.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember my mother and father sitting when war was declared on the radio. Horror. What we did, because Glasgow was the recipient of a lot of bombing, it was a shipbuilding place. We were evacuated to the country. So little labels, around our neck and our gas mask, and off went. And I was so responsible for my little sister, who was. We went to one place, Dumfriesshire, and after, I think maybe it was a couple of years, the Jewish population sort of opened their eyes and realized that their children were being sent out to non-Jewish people. Wow, horror. So they got together and got a place in the country for Jewish people, and so we were sent there. Of course, the people they sent it, they were in charge, I may say. One was most probably a pedophile. His wife was very bad-tempered and nervous and weird. The rabbi was very bad-tempered. I mean, it was not a golden example of Judaism. But, you know, we were kids, we were strong, we were together. And we survived, and we had fun, and it was fun.
How long were you away from your parents?
It must have been about, when did the war end?
45.
So it must have been about 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
So you were absent from your parents for that long?
Oh, they would come down and they would get buses together and come down and visit us.
You saw them?
Oh, yes, yeah. So, I mean, kids can adjust. It's amazing.
Now, in this place that you were living while you were separated from your parents, are they teaching you about, are they giving you a Jewish upbringing?
Well, the rabbi did have some lessons, Jewish lessons, yeah. Oh, yeah. And we had, services Friday night and Saturday morning, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, we knew we were Jewish.
Sure.
Yeah.
And any memories of bombings around, or
no?
Just all
we were
quiet?
saved.
It was all quiet.
That was the point. I mean, my father had volunteered to the fire brigade, and I mean, he saw some awful things, and he kept on saying, "I'm just so glad you're here." You know,
wow.
Saved you from it. So we came through unscathed
and untouched.
Yeah.
And I'm just fixing something here, because the light is changing all the time.
I noticed that. Yeah.
So I gotta just make sure that it's okay. All right, there we go. When do you remember hearing for the first time about what's happening?
In Israel?
No.
Oh.
In Europe with the Jews. I know you're young. I know you're like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Do you hear it from your parents? Do you hear it from... When do you
Interesting.
try and remember where you?
No, it just seems it was in my bones all the time. So I can't, no. I mean, maybe, you know, if I sat down and thought about it, but it's an interesting question.
Because, you know, it's like, I remember as a child, the Iran hostage situation. I was only 5.
Yeah.
But I just remember people talking about it all the time, and it was big.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have any connection to it, but I just remember it. You know, I really.
No, there's nothing specific like that.
Yes. I'm just going to take this tea for a second. And
So funny you should ask that. It
Yeah.
just seems like I've never not known it.
But when you were a child,
Yeah, of course there must have been some point where they started talking.
where people started talking
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
And of course, right when you're sent to out of Glasgow, a lot of kinder transport kids are coming in.
Oh,
Did
they
you-
were. They
Did you
are.
have any interaction?
Oh
with these
yes,
kids?
a lot
Tell me
of them
about that.
came. Well, they came from Germany mostly.
Well, Germany, Czechoslovakia, and Austria.
Yes.
most of them,
Yes, the ones, and it was interesting. They were just so different from us.
Yeah.
First of all, they were so much more brilliant. They were all clever, very clever. Education level was so high. We're not so pleasant people, but they were brilliant.
They're also kind of traumatized
Yeah,
when we think about it today.
yeah. A lot of them actually went back to Germany because they thought Germany was much better than what they saw in Scotland.
Scotland was a little too hardcore for them.
No, too simple,
Too simple.
too unsophisticated, too.
What's So you remember these kids?
I do.
Yeah.
I do remember them.
Yeah.
Often wonder
They
what
didn't speak
happened to them.
English.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. No, they were so bright. I mean, they went to school. They just aced everybody.
And when the war ends in May 45, do you remember that? Do you remember that occasion of like not the moment, but like kind of like the atmosphere of the war being over?
No. No,
That's
actually.
fine. That's fine. So after the war, you go back to your parents' house in Glasgow,
Yes.
and you are 16?
About that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50. No.
39, you're 10.
Could be.
16.
Was I 16?
Yeah. Almost 16.
So just high school. I'd just gone
Yeah.
through high school. Yeah.
You're a teenager.
Right.
Yeah.
So it must have been
And
pretty.
Did you go to a public school?
Yes. But it was very,
In Glasgow?
Yes. Glasgow had the highest level of education in the UK at that
United
time.
Kingdom.
At that time, yeah. Very high. It was Glasgow Academy. It was very high.
What were you good at in school? What did you like to study? When you were
English.
English.
English, yes. It was English. Yeah.
After the war, is your father still a diehard communist, or is he kind of?
Oh no, he was disillusioned completely.
When Stalin sided
Yes.
with Hitler,
Yeah, no, that was it
and
for
then
him.
of course Hitler turned around and stabbed him in the back. So he was kind of disillusioned with with the idea of communism. Was he Zionist? Your father? Did he ever
No.
talk about
No.
Palestine? And
No, not at
creating
all.
a socialistic
No.
paradise there? No.
No. It was a global thing for him, yeah. But I had joined the Habonim. Do you know that
Okay,
organization?
that's exactly what I wanted to get
Yes.
to. Habonim drawer, or just Habonim.
Habonim,
So
yes.
you joined Habonim in Glasgow.
That's
You're
right.
15, 16 years old.
That's right.
Tell me about Habonim in
Well,
Glasgow.
Just,
How did you get to it?
how do you mean, how do I
How
get
did
to
you
it?
find out about Habonim drawer?
Well, Jewish.
Yeah.
I mean, I still went to Jewish organization. There was some, what would you call it, where they have meetings and
Like clubhouses.
a clubhouse, something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And well, we did Jewish things. So the Habonim was one of them, and that was nice. I mean, we talked about them. There was lectures and so on.
About what's happening in Palestine.
That's right. That's right. And we began to know about it. But what really set me off was I went with some friends to the Parliament. They were sitting in Parliament in Scotland.
Okay.
And I was in the gallery, and one man came out, was talking. A thick Scottish accent. It was about this height, it was about 5 foot. He said, "I'm a member from Camlachi, Scotland." I mean, he said, "And I just want to tell you, I've just come back from Israel, and my God, what they're doing there, you can't believe it." And I started explaining how the Israelis were.
Well, then it was Palestine.
Oh, it must have been.
Yeah.
That's right, because I arrived, you're right. It must have been to Palestine. I'm thinking
he was there as in a delegation or something, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I was
what
out
is he saying?
there. He was saying what they're trying to do there is extraordinary. They're changing a desert
landscape.
into a garden, into an orchard. I mean, he was raving about them. I got so fired up. I said, "That's it. I'm going to help." And that was it.
What were you doing in the Parliament, though?
Well, sitting, listening. You know, we'd go and listen to.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
In the listeners for interest.
Wow. How old are you at this time?
Well, we worked it out. 15, 16, yeah.
And you're just going to Parliament to hear what's going on?
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
And you remember this MK's name?
I remember the place because it was so Scottish, Camlachi. It was just so hilarious
Short
to
little
me.
guy?
Big voice, short guy, big voice, full of enthusiasm and admiration. I mean, how could I not listen to his call?
So what is it spark?
So I went to the Habonim. I said, I want to go to Israel and join and help.
And what did they say to you?
So they organized it for me.
But are you done with high school yet? Are you?
I was just done with high school.
So it's 1947. Let's put it to you. I'll put it to you this way. In November of 1947, the UN partitions Palestine into 2.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in Scotland when this happens?
Yes.
Yeah, you're in Scotland.
Because
Okay.
I was, the day, I remember, it was a few days after I arrived in Israel. I was sitting, climbing at the top of either Allenby or Dusengolf on the roof and watched the parade, the first Day of Independence parade.
But that was in 49.
That was 49?
That was 49, yeah.
Then what was I doing? Isn't that interesting? Wow.
Yeah.
How memory has... to me it was like immediately.
Connected. Yeah. Well, maybe it was something else. I don't know. It could be. But
Because yes.
We'll get to that.
All right, because I know it was a day. All right. Yeah,
We'll get to that. So you go to your branch of Habonim in Glasgow and you say to them, I want to go to Palestine.
Yeah.
I want to go help. What do they say to you?
You sure? I know. You sure? Let's think it out. Let's talk over. But I was absolutely adamant.
What do your mother and father think?
Well, I was always independent.
Okay.
So they reckon. I mean, I was different from my sister.
Okay.
I was more amenable, and you know, she married her first boyfriend, and didn't leave the house until she was married. You know.
You're more adventurous.
I beg your pardon?
You're more adventurous.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes, and. So they arranged it. I think there was one other friend, in fact, the younger sister of a dear friend, Irene Iskowicz. She and I went out together.
So you traveled from Glasgow to
where? Marseille.
To Marseille.
Marseille, yeah.
You've never been out of the country before?
No. Barely out of Glasgow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you go to Marseille. Now, Dror Habonim, just for the record, is affiliated with the Haganah.
Yes. Oh, right? to the Haganah?
Haganah.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you weren't connected with people, members of the Lechi or the Etzel
No.
or the Irgun?
No, not the Haganah. Must have been, yes, of
Yeah,
course.
the Jewish agency.
Yeah, that's right.
So
There,
do you,
yes.
so do you stop in Paris or you go directly
I think we went straight down
to Marseille?
to Marseille, and we were met there and taken out on a bus outside Marseille. There's all the camps. You must know. Yeah.
Do you remember the camp that you went to?
No, no, I don't.
Okay, that's fine.
I remember we were given, and I was given another name, Hannah Kaufman.
Hannah Kaufman.
Yeah, and a little card, and I was told, whatever language anyone speaks to you in, you don't speak it. So that's, in other words, shut up, don't say a word.
So what's Hannah Kaufman's cover story of going to Palestine?
They didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, the French people, authorities knew what it was. They didn't need a cover.
There was a reason Marseille was the dock of all those boats.
Oh, yes.
It was very, there was a lot of things going on there. And, and also,
If you have to take it, go ahead.
no, it's fine. And also, so this is a DP camp where you're at.
That's what I
And you see
understood.
for the first time Holocaust survivors.
That's right.
How does that impact you?
It was a shock. It was a shock. Because it was other people. I mean, it wasn't the same people. This is when I realized, I've got to say, when I became not Jewish. Because I realized Jewishness doesn't mean what I am. It means a million different things. There's no one specific thing. So it was very relieving in a way. But the whole of Israel, first of all, when I went to Israel, for me it was a big burden off my shoulders. Off my shoulders. When I was Jewish, I felt I had the burden of Jewishness to do something about it. And I realized here was a whole country and thousands of people all taking on the burden. I was off the hook.
You weren't
a bit.
alone.
Right.
But I want to get back to that experience at the DP camps in Marseille.
Oh, righto.
You see people who are, just went through hell.
Yes, but I was there a very, very short time.
But you still see.
Oh, yes. No, there was a different kind of people. They were different people. They weren't like the human beings as I knew them. It was a whole other ballgame for them. Of course, the more you're older nowadays, you realize what...
Yeah. Now, are the people that are taking you to Palestine, and it is Palestine at the time, I think, are they...
Yes, it's almost...
Are they telling you where you're going to go, what kind of job, what are you going to do? You have no idea.
No
You're like,
idea.
I'm going.
That's right.
Carte blanche.
Do
I'm
with
going.
me what you will.
I'm here, I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
I'm
Not quite 18,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
18. You're 18.
Was it, did you work out 18?
Well, you're 40, it's not 47, you're born in 29, you're 18 years old. You're
Okay.
18 years old. Can you imagine kids from this neighborhood in California, LA, at 18 going to a war zone?
I know. But at the same time, at 18, I was ridiculously naive compared to what
But you were
met.
knowledgeable.
Yes. No, I was open to learn and everything.
Sure.
But ridiculously, when I saw what other people had gone through, as you
Sure.
said.
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you have in your mind, and I know this, you might not have the answer, but in your mind, I'm asking you to try and think. You're in Marseille. What are you kind of hoping that will happen to you when you get to Palestine? Like, fall in love and work on a kibbutz?
No.
Pick oranges?
yeah.
No.
I thought maybe oranges, yeah. No, I wasn't. I mean, I knew that I'd most probably learn how to shoot a Sten gun and throw a hand grenade, so I thought maybe I'd be in a battle or something.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it seems so extraordinary
so you're
now.
like Joan of Arc, kind of like...
Well, yeah, something to help, anyway.
Okay, so you get on the boat in Marseille. Does anything happen in Marseille that is worth talking about that you remember? Or you
No, it was a very, very short
very
time.
good. You get on a boat.
The boat were very lucky. The boat was practically the next day.
Wow. Do you remember the name of the boat?
Oh, I do. The Atzmaut.
Okay.
And the captain was a rather famous captain. He was the one that he negotiated some refugees. Was it round about?
I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going
I'm
to
trying
Google
to.
it right now as we're speaking.
Oh, okay.
Can you Google
Good.
that?
He escaped from the
ספינת
British.
המעפילים עצמאות.
My gosh.
Here we go, Wikipedia. It's a big boat. No, but it says that it went. It says that it went from Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Hold on.
What's
Yeah.
the island? Malta or Cyprus? And he escaped the
Zeev
British.
Schneider.
Okay.
He was the head of it.
Uh-huh.
Toldotat.
That was the captain?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar, strangely enough.
Does
Yes.
it?
But
Hold on,
Schneider.
Zeev Schneider Ish Aliyah Bet Al-Chash, they bought it in New York, and then it went across the Atlantic, went to Venice under a Panamanian flag. It doesn't say anything here about Marseille.
Well, maybe
Okay,
he...
maybe it wasn't Mapi. Okay, let's check Wikipedia.
It could be that it was the captain that was famous, not the boat.
Okay. Do you remember the captain's name?
No,
Okay.
no.
Do you remember? Okay, but was it a big boat or was it like a small?
No, it was quite a good
Was it a
size.
passenger ship, or was it like a
When you say passengers, got to laugh because it was bunks, bare
wood underneath?
bunks, iron beds. You know, I don't think we even had a mattress.
How many people do you think were on the ship?
Oh, it was quite a few hundred.
Over 1,000?
I don't think so.
Okay, you don't
No,
think so.
I
It
don't
was
think so.
relatively mediocre.
Medium
Was the
size.
ship made out of wood or was it no?
I don't know.
Okay. And you sail from Marseille directly to Haifa?
Correct.
Directly.
Right.
Any British destroyers on the way?
No.
Nothing.
No. We're lucky
Wow.
because he was famous. This guy, for escaping. I mean, it was a
He
great.
was a master. He was just
Yes, I mean, in the history of Israel, I'm sure he's in, or the naval battles, he was quite famous.
okay. So he was like a top gun.
Oh, he was terrific, yeah. Little guy.
And what do you remember about the voyage?
It's pretty basic, pretty basic. I mean, there was no showers, first of all.
Yeah.
There was a sort of a line of basins that would wash ourselves. I don't know what kind of boat it must have been. But what was interesting was, and you see, this is where I'm so naive. We met a couple of English girls, very attractive, and was talking to them, and they were living in a bunk, in a cabin with sheets and a bed, and were eating 3 full meals a day. But I realized that they'd become friendly with the officers. Good ploy.
Say no more.
Oh, they were smart. She looked at how we were living, and she just shook her head.
And these were also Machal girls?
I presume so,
Yeah.
unless the guys had picked them up for some other reason.
And said to them, let's go to Palestine.
Yeah.
It's a great place to hang out.
Right.
So when you arrive in Palestine, are you guys like sneaking in or do you go?
No, we arrived. Then we all had to go through a tent. We were sprayed with DDT, I remember that. And then sent off to a camp on a train to some place, I remember, Pardes Khana.
Uh-huh.
Remember that?
Sure, Pardes absolutely.
Yes, orange. Oh, that's what that.
Yeah.
There I got my orange grove.
Did you? Yeah, your orchard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're there for a few days, and my friend Irene,
Who you went with?
yes, apparently had some relative of a relative of a relative in Rosh LeZion.
Rishon LeZion.
Yes,
Rishon
that's right,
LeZion, yeah.
Rishon LeZion, and invited us to come. So we just got on a bus and went.
To Rishon LeZion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and stayed with her for a few days. She was not very I mean, she was an old lady. She was cantankerous, and we realised. So we joined the army, and actually I was
Where?
assigned to the Air Force, and what's the
Televinsky,
no outside
Sarafen,
outside Tel Aviv.
Tel Nof,
Oh,
Ramat
No.
David.
one of the main. It was a main Arab area outside Tel Aviv.
Sarafen,
No.
Shachmunes,
It may even just be an area of Tel Aviv.
Jaffa.
That's it.
And that's where the Air Force headquarters was.
Yes, so that's where I joined.
So you joined the Air Force.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, the head was South African, of course.
Who was
I
the
remember
head?
his first name. Everybody knew their first name.
Okay.
Whoever knew second names at that time.
So they assign you to the Air Force?
That's right.
What about your friend? Where does she go?
She decided to join a moshav.
Okay.
Fell in love with a South African,
Okay.
and they lived there for some years
Okay.
until his parents said, "Enough already.
Gotcha.
Come home." So they went home and lived the life of Riley in South Africa.
And what about you? So you're in Jaffa.
Yeah, so I
What
lived
is your
there.
position? What are you doing?
I
in the
was
Air Force?
working in the Codes and Ciphers department.
In the what?
Codes and Ciphers department.
Very interesting.
It was. It was headed by an American, and I can't remember his name.
Somebody mentioned his name. I interviewed a Machal guy
Oh, yes?
whose name was David Makarov.
Uh-huh.
Mac, they called him, and he dealt with radar
Uh-huh.
and stuff. But explain to me what your job is. What do you do?
Well, we were
exactly?
really there. We were mostly just making the codes. And I think we went over to the deciphering part for a few days for some learning and just learning about the whole thing. So a very simple job, but of course it was very secretive.
Sure.
And
And most people there are speaking English.
oh yes,
Yeah, yeah.
they were English, in
Yeah.
fact.
And where are you
Just
living? Where are you putting your head?
In the
at night?
dormitory.
There was a dormitory for you.
Yes, but you know that I can't remember. Was there a dormitory? I remember sort of marching to the cafe, to the mess hall. But I can't remember sleeping where we slept. That's gone. I guess it wasn't important.
Are you in? So I'm just trying to understand. When do you arrive in Israel, in Palestine? Is it when you arrive, the country has already been declared? Is that correct?
I don't think so. I think it was like I was arrived when it was. I seem to remember that when I arrived, independence was declared.
Already.
But you know, now that you're giving me dates, I could be off a month
Do you
or
have
two.
any documents that you no?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine.
Oh. No, I looked. No, but there was one little photograph that was taken of Allenby watching the parade. I know that was the Independence Day parade.
I think it was.
But
yeah.
could it have been the first year of independence?
Yeah, like 49. When did you stay in Israel till?
Well, I thought it was 48 to 52.
Listen, the war ended in March 49. It ended.
And when was independence?
May 48.
Well, that's what I think I was there.
May 48. So maybe you were
Yes.
there for the Ben Gurion's Declaration of Independence?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was parades, but there was a lot of celebrations.
tanks, a lot of big parade down
Yes,
Allenby.
I think it was the first year of independence, because when they declared independence, the war started like that.
Oh, I
Instantly.
see what you mean.
So-
Yes.
so if this-
Yes, yes.
You understand what I'm
So
saying?
it was the end of the war then that I was there.
The end of the war, yeah, could be.
End of the
Yeah,
war.
could be.
And that was the victory parade
Could
that
be
I was
the year
there.
after, yeah, yeah.
Must have been.
Yeah.
That must have
Yeah,
been.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, I'm glad we sorted that out.
But that's all right, now I can go. So do you spend the whole time in the Air Force doing this? Is that what you
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And are you able to experience anything else at the time in the country, in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem? Are you meeting people? Are you?
Oh, yes. Well, you met everybody. I mean, everybody met everybody. It was extraordinary. Yeah. As I say, nobody ever knew anybody's second name.
Yeah,
it was
all
like
Mavis and John, and it was just that.
Chaim, yeah, whatever. And we met people from all over, people who spoke 6 languages, you know, from where they came from, like Romania, around about there. Or they had travelled, picked up Polish here, Russian there. And that was it. And then I worked in Moshe Dayan's office after I was out of the army.
So the army discharges you?
That's
they say
right.
to you, thank you very much.
That's right.
How long do you think you were working? How long do you think you were in the army for? How long
About
do
a
you
year and a half, I
think?
think.
A year and a
I
half.
think so, yeah.
So I think this parade that you were at was definitely the 1 year.
Sounds like it. Right, yeah.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely sounds.
Uh-huh.
And how would you describe that period of being in the army, like in the Air Force, doing that work?
Oh, it was interesting,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, at least you felt you were doing something to
sure.
help. We weren't actually killing anyone,
Well, that's fine.
but we were doing something to help,
Yeah,
and that's what
yeah.
I was there for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get discharged from the army, and you tell me that you go to work in Moshe Dayan's office.
Foreign press office.
Okay.
It was
wow.
part of him. It was.
Okay.
Was that in Tel Aviv or Haifa?
I would think it would be in Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv, I think it was. Yeah. No, right apartment. Just don't know what's going on there. Anyway,
So you work. What was your job?
there I had to extrapolate information and reports about Israel from different papers and present it for the journalists who would be around there.
Foreign journalists.
That's right. So that
it's
they
kinda
could.
Like, it's kind of like like a spokesperson.
No, I would do it in physically, clipping. I would clip people, clip things, and present it in a booklet.
And he was there a lot, Moshe Dayan. He was.
Oh, yeah, I was there. I mean, of course, we saw him. It was like,
Right.
he was God. He was God, as he was. Extraordinary man. But that's what I was concentrating on. That was only a part of his. I mean, his office was doing his amazing things, and we were just getting the information out to the foreign journalists. So it was interesting in a
How
way.
did you get that job?
I think I just applied.
Yeah.
I can't remember actually. Yeah. I was lucky.
Yeah.
I really was lucky.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I don't know if you actually. There's a question that I can ask you that will kind of put a period of time of when you arrived.
Mm-hmm.
In June of 1948, there is a big incident on the beach in Tel Aviv with the Altalena ship. Do you remember that ship being stuck on the Tel Aviv beachfront for like a year? He was blown up by the army, and it was a ship that was manned by Begin and the Irgun. And there was a huge battle there, and they killed 20 people.
Vaguely, yes. Now you're saying
like
it.
Boat, but there was like the boat was physically stuck on the shore for like a year.
Right. Vague things, you know, will start coming in.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, I met. Who was the guy you just said?
Begin?
Begin.
Menachem Begin?
I met him. I had tea with him.
When?
I just remember. I was friendly with someone, and he said.
Wait a sec. Yes.
And he said, "Oh yeah, Menachem Begin. Well, you know, I know him." I said, "Oh, how interesting! I'd love to meet him." He said, "Well, come to tea." And we came to a house. It was a very elegant house. I mean, when you think of how we were living so simply, but he was there. I wish I'd made a note of what he said. He was charming, of course, and he talked with quiet authority. I mean, he wasn't a raving lunatic as people would have. Anyway, it was just a very nice little interlude. Yes, yeah. And an interlude from eating like olives and feta for lunch and stuff.
Was that normally what you had, feta cheese
Yeah,
and olives?
or for breakfast.
Yeah.
It was very odd. Slices of turnip, you know.
Slices of?
Turnip.
What's that?
It's a root vegetable.
Okay.
Like
A root vegetable. Okay.
like a carrot or something like
There was
that.
there was tough times in Israel.
Oh, the food was. Actually, I was ill. I was quite ill. Finally, we found one tiny little restaurant in Tel Aviv that he made a big cauldron of what he called Gemüsesuppe, vegetable soup. Pardon my accent, but we used to joke about it. And that would tide us along. Otherwise, it was really tough.
It was tough. Yeah.
I could not eat eggplant for 10 years after that.
You're not the first person who said that.
Really? Are there many of my age, of the first level? I mean, I know there was about 4 or 5 at the Consul General's office, but no, I didn't know there was more than that.
There are, yeah.
Actually,
I just interviewed Lee Silverman.
oh yes, yes,
And
yes.
I interviewed Benno Katz.
I think, yeah, he was there.
And I interviewed.
I've got someone who is be the most interesting person you would have.
Tom.
No,
Who?
I'm going to show
Hold
you
on,
his
wait a
book.
sec.
Oh, yes, of course I can't move.
No, you can move.
All right.
Please. Now you can move.
And I discovered him very recently.
And he lives here in LA?
Yeah. Oh my God, are you going to get a... This is your keys.
That's my keys, yeah.
I belong to a book group.
Please, have a seat.
Yeah, thank you. I belong to a book group. And... Oh, sorry.
Hold on, move your hand.
Yeah. And what...
Naftali Deutsch.
Yes. What the person, the book group... Oh, no, I mean, she does it all.
Have a seat. Sit back.
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah.
There we go.
Okay. She invites authors who are here, has written a book and can be at her place, at the group, to talk about it. I mean, she interviewed my husband, for instance, who wrote a book about Greece. We lived in Greece for 30 years, so he wrote a book about it, so she had him. So she discovered this guy.
Who is this guy?
Who went through various prison camps, including Auschwitz, and did amazing things. I mean, I'm going to give you this book.
No, please.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's for you. I'll make a note of it and everything, but...
I don't want it, no. I mean, I've read it. I don't want it.
Why do you think this is a person I should interview?
Because he was a mechanic. He calls himself a Machalnik. He joined Machal. And he is most probably...
What's his name?
This Naphtali Deutsch. Well, Tuli, we call him, his name.
And did you know him?
Yes, well, I've known him through this group. We've talked to him. And he talked about it we all read his book. And then he was there and we were able to ask him questions. And you most probably won't be interested in till he actually arrives in Israel and what he does. He buys, I believe he was in Czechoslovakia buying arms, that, and doing all that. I mean, really important stuff.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how I can get a hold of him.
Oh, that's easy.
That's easy, yeah?
Yeah, I can ask the owner of the book group. Because I've told him, when he was talking and he said it was a Maha, I said, "You're a Maha? Oh my God." It was...
So his name is Naphtali Deutsch?
Yes, we call him Tuli, yeah.
Tuli. And he lives in Los Angeles?
Yep.
Okay, well definitely.
He will be your star,
okay.
What he's done.
Let's get back to you.
Oh, he's so much more interesting.
It's okay. I'm just trying to control this light here. There. So after you work in Moshe Dayan's office, is that...
I think that was it. I decided to come home. That was it. Israel was on its way. It didn't need me anymore.
Were you happy of your decision to go there?
Yes, I was happy I went. I was happy to leave. And for a while, I was still a bit worried that Israel had shoved all these Arab peoples out. I mean, it did not sit happily with me.
Okay. Did you hear any stories? Did you...
Oh yes, we all have. I mean, various... about being shoved out, Arab villages being shoved out. I mean, well, we realised there was a war, though stuff had to do, but I didn't like it. When I mentioned that, I tried to talk about it to friends, of course. They were horrified by me. How could you think of that? That's ridiculous. So I just shut up, did my thing, and then I came home, and that was it. I mean, I don't know what's happening now in Israel.
When was the last time you were back there?
Then, never went back. We talked about it, and I could have gone because my husband and I lived on the island of Rhodes.
Sure,
I told you
it's right there.
In fact, many Israelis used to come. It was wonderful to see them. The students, and they used to come in boats where the water, if this was the water, the top of the boat was like here. This is how they would come. I don't know how they exist. I mean, they did it. It was wonderful.
Never been back since.
Never been back. We talked about it, but we never did.
Well, there's a big memorial for the Machal people.
Oh, yeah?
On the highway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
Ah.
Wow, you haven't been back. You wouldn't even recognize
Oh,
it.
no, I wouldn't. No, when you see all the movies and everything. I love Israeli movies, by the way. They're really great. Of course, my very Jewish Zionist friends hate Israeli movies because all they do is show the bad side of Israel.
Okay, I see. Okay.
I'm sure lots of it. And I've got very left-wing friends who are horrified by what's happening, But I just it's just, I wouldn't get into any kind of fight about anything.
Mavis, I think we're good.
Good.
And I can tell you that I'm so happy that I came.
Oh,
I am.
yeah.
I'm not just saying that because I'm really. I mean, it was like I never. It's good, very good, and it's good that your story is going to be in our archive.
Oh, thank you. Well, I hope.
We'll get that.
I feel if I do that for you,
okay.
that's my thing.
So I'm going to stop the camera, and I want to.